Beyond the buzzer, inside the game, this is Sports IQ with Larry Smith.
Hey, glad you're with us here on Sports IQ. 7th day of July already. A few birthdays to pass along just to have a little fun. Michelle Kwan today turning 46 years old. Joe Sakic is 56. Ralph Sampson, the legendary Ralph Sampson, 66. Fred Brown, downtown Freddie Brown, Seattle Supersonics, NBA champion back in the 70s. He turns 76. Also, if you're born today, you share a birthday with Satchel Paige, the legend, born on this day in 1906. Good show coming up. We've got a couple of conversations on the way in just a few minutes. Mitchell Hansen from talking about the Minnesota Lynx here in a moment, and we'll get into a little WNBA talk with him and the Minnesota getting it done without Napheesa Collier. Also, Michah Warren, our friend, talking NFL. We can't wait for that. Michah always one of those guys, again, we could talk to kind of forever, and we'll try to keep that to only our 15-minute window as we talk with him. Well, even having star weighing Fowler and Balogun on the pitch in Seattle was not enough for the U.S. men's team to make it out of the round of 16 in this year's World Cup. Belgium dominated the U.S. in every facet of the game, turned U.S. mental blunders into goals. Final score, 4-1 Belgium, but the game, let's face it, wasn't even that close. Christian Pulisic was never in the game. He accounted for at least 11 turnovers in the first half alone. Serginho Dest was so bad on this night that on the right side of the pitch that coach pulled him at halftime. Balogun, the man allowed to play only by a ruling from FIFA on Sunday, and who had scored 3 goals and forced a 4th via an own goal in the first 4 U.S. matches, spent most of his time merely running up and down his side of the field, really never had a meaningful scoring chance. 4th time in the past 5 World Cups the Americans exited at this stage. The only exception was in 2018 when they didn't qualify. Belgium also sent the U.S. home from the 2014 World Cup. So United States men's national soccer team now has an all-time World Cup record of 9 wins, 8 draws, and 20 losses. That spans 12 tournament appearances. Through these 37 all-time matches, the team has scored 40 goals while allowing 66. Another World Cup dream also ending on Monday, as well as the World Cup career of one of the game's biggest stars. A goal by Mikel Merino led Spain to a 1-0 victory over Portugal and put the Spaniards into the quarterfinals. Portugal's Cristiano Ronaldo had announced earlier that this World Cup would be his last, and the superstar was seen in tears when the clock struck midnight for his country. This was Ronaldo's 6th and final World Cup. He has 11 goals to his name in the competition and holds the all-time record for the highest number of tournaments scored. By the way, Portugal never able to win a World Cup with Ronaldo. The best they managed was reaching the semifinals back in 2006. Moving to baseball now for a moment. A great Monday to be a Royals fan. Kansas City did something Monday afternoon that's even more rare than a perfect game. In their blowout win over the Phillies, 15-1, the Royals scored in every single inning. They only batted in 8 innings because they were the home team and there was no bottom of the 9th, but still, it's a rarity. No American League team has ever scored in all 9 innings, by the way. The Royals had 22 hits in the game for the 11th time in franchise history. They sent 50 men to the plate. 28 reached base. That's a cool 560 on-base average. Kansas City becoming the 21st team to score in every inning of a major league game. By contrast, there have been 24 perfect games in baseball history. So that makes this, again, even more rare than a perfect game. So Royals fans, something to celebrate and cheer about as we get into the dog days, if you will, of summer. Nicely done.
Time now for a moment of awe. And, we love talking about great moments in sports history on our daily Sports IQ with Larry Smith show. And it was an amazing feat 69 years ago this week in 1957. Social change was in the air after World War II. Jackie Robinson broke Major League Baseball's color barrier in 1947. That was a year after the NFL integrated. Well, in 1950, Althea Gibson became the first black tennis player to compete at the U.S. Nationals, the precursor to the U.S. Open. 6 years later, she became the first black champion in a Grand Slam event, winning at the French Open. And in 1957, 69 years ago this week, Gibson did it again, becoming Wimbledon's first African-American champ. She went on to win the U.S. Nationals that year en route to being named the Female Athlete of the Year. And in 1958, she did it all again. Wimbledon, U.S. Nationals, and top female athlete. In all, Gibson would go on to win 11 career Grand Slam titles. The daughter of South Carolina sharecroppers, etching her name in history, Althea Gibson gets our moment of awe. WNBA talk here this summer. And, listen, I've said it so many times. Maybe my favorite story right now in the first first couple of months of the WNBA season has been the Minnesota Lynx, a team that we thought would struggle, obviously, without Napheesa Collier. That has not happened. Let's get the inside story right now. He is the founder of Hitting the Hardwood. Mitchell Hansen joining us right now for the first time on Sports IQ. Mitchell, good to see you.
Hey, thank you guys for having me. Happy to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. How about this Lynx team? I'm sure you guys were the same way. Napheesa Collier, if we can just if we can scramble to 500 without her, that'd be great. It's been much, much more than that.
Yeah, I mean, I was in that exact mindset as you just said with going into the season. I expected, until Napheesa Collier came back, that they were going to be around 500. Maybe they would even struggle to be 500. We didn't know what this team would look like going into the year just with the roster turnover. And they've clearly, blown a lot of us out of the water with what they've been able to do so far. And it's not so much necessarily that, the record that they're atop the WNBA, but just what they've been able to do, on both ends of the floor. Statistically, they're one of the best teams in the league. I know in the early probably month of the year, they were the best team in every aspect of the game, with the exception of maybe you could say free throws. I mean, that's really, the only thing that they struggle with, and they still kind of struggle with. But the point I'm getting to is they've just been the best team in the WNBA so far, and it's kind of, it's mind-boggling to think about how they are the best team, and they arguably, a top 2 player in the WNBA has not stepped on the court yet.
Right.
So it's, they're only going to get better. It's, I think we will see a ramp up period for Napheesa Collier when she does get back to the floor. We're not going to see her just, come back to MVP form right away, but she's only going to help this team, and she's only going to help every single player on this roster in continuing to get better. And it'll open up things for this team, which is a scary thought.
Yeah. If you're at one of the other teams there was no question about that. And I think Napheesa Collier is that type of mature veteran superstar that understands she doesn't have to be a superstar on game one. You work on being Napheesa come September. And in the meantime, let's just kind of work. And I think she'll work to assimilate with some new pieces around her, starting with, again, Olivia Miles, the number 2 pick out of TCU. We knew she was a great player at Notre Dame, and then later with the Horned Frogs in the one season. I don't know if any of us thought she'd be this good this early. I mean, she's having the type of impact we saw the past couple of years at the guard position as Caitlin Clark and Paige Beckers. She just wasn't the number 1 overall pick.
Right. Yeah. She's basically from day one. She's really just kind of hit the ground running, and she's playing like a multi-year player right now. Like she's been in this league for a few years at least. Coming into the year, I got questions after the Lynx drafted her, like what kind of player are they getting? What style does she play? Like what, some characteristics she has. And the more that I watch her, I would tell this to all those people that ask me, that she is Lindsay Whalen 2.0. And I think that's exactly what we're seeing in her style of play, her court vision, her physicality, her energy. She is okay with taking a back seat offensively, but also she can take over a game offensively if need be. And it's ironic that, Lindsay, she works with Lindsay Whalen directly now as Lindsay's an assistant with the Lynx, but it's kind of, there are a lot of comparisons there. And if, the Lynx will absolutely take if Olivia Miles is a fraction of what Lindsay Whalen was even, but
sure.
She's the clear rookie of the year, and she's even putting her name in the MVP talks here early on. And a lot can change before the end of the year, but she's playing incredibly well. And it's going back to the Napheesa Collier aspect of things too. She still has not played with one of the best players in the WNBA, and that will help, Napheesa Collier. That will help Olivia Miles in opening things up for her. And I think we're only going to see her, continue to get better and better as the year moves on.
The other player too that does not get as much love as she should because of what Olivia Miles is doing is Natasha Howard coming in. And in the front court, filling in and really helping to alleviate some of the concerns of Collier being out. She's having an outstanding season.
Yeah, she looks like the Natasha Howard of 5 years ago.
Yeah.
You know, and that's, you know, she's kind of, I don't want to say, you know, revitalized her career in Minnesota, but she kind of has to some extent with, you know, what she's been able to do. She, you know, she's familiar with this system, obviously playing with the Lynx earlier in her career from 2016 to 2017, being a part of the last WNBA title team with the Lynx. But, you know, she's honestly probably over the last, this is probably her best season that she's had since, you know, 2019 with Seattle when she earned MVP votes that year. And that was one of her all-star appearances. But it, you know, it's not often you see a gap too like this where a player, she had 4 years where she didn't make an all-star team. And now all of a sudden she's an all-star starter. And you know, it's kind of crazy to see that at the age of 34 that, you know, she is, you know, having this big of an impact while making a shift to a new team. But I you know, she's the type of player that fits Cheryl Reeve's system perfectly. And I think that with Olivia Miles as well, the pick and roll game with those two is something else. And I think that's a huge reason for her success. And I think also she's out there trying to prove herself yet. And when you mix all of that together, it's been a great combination so far, and the Lynx hope that it can continue here the rest of the season.
Yeah. Next question for you. You're talking to Mitchell Hansen again, hitting the Hardwood, founder of, and talking a little Minnesota Lynx basketball, WNBA. Next question. When does Napheesa return to the lineup, and who leaves the lineup? Who do you take out of the mix?
Well, that's the big question because they had, you know, you're not going to put Napheesa Collier on the bench. I mean, that's very obvious, but also you don't want to mess things up at the same time. I think as far as her return, I do think she's very close. I would say within the next game or two, she's back. She's back practicing with the team now. She's been doing on-court stuff for at least a few weeks now. So she's close. You know, her and Dorka Juhas are both very, very close to returning. You know, when it comes to the rotation, you're going to have to probably, and this is a good thing for Minnesota too, because the one thing that they've had as a weakness so far this year is lack of depth. And that's, I mean, you're missing two big pieces to your rotation with Napheesa Collier and Dorka Juhas. You get them back and you automatically have a, you know, 7, 8 maybe deep team or rotation. And, you know, I think you're going to obviously put Napheesa Collier back into the starting lineup. I think that'll probably move Nia Coffey to the bench. And then you have Nia Coffey and Dorka Juhas coming off the bench. And the thing with that too is Minnesota would have the ability, or they will have the ability, to play multiple different lineups, or kind of, you know, depending on the matchup that they're facing. They could play small with putting, you know, Napheesa Collier at the 4, like I just mentioned, and moving Nia Coffey to the bench. Or if you're playing a team that's big, you could put Nia Coffey back in. You can move Napheesa Collier to the 3 spot, and then you play a little bit bigger that way. So they have a lot of flexibility, which, you know, is a great thing to have, especially when you get into the playoffs and you have that, you know, constant chess match with different matchups. But I do think, you know, she will slide into that 4 spot. And then, you know, I do think probably with, you know, the first probably 1 to 2 weeks, we're going to see her probably starting, but playing maybe a smaller role as they kind of watch her minutes and ease her into things, because it will take a little bit of a ramp up period for her to kind of get adjusted and get back into game shape, because that's, you know, it's a completely different thing once you step on the floor. But she'll move right back into the starting lineup, and I it's, you know, a lot of people are saying, well, you don't want to mess with what's, you know, happening right now. You don't want to mess with a good thing, but you're also getting an MVP player back. You have to, I mean, she's not going to hurt the lineup. She's not going to hurt the team. So it'll only help this team for sure.
Yeah, and she's such a team player. She's going to fit where, fit in where you get in, right? I mean, she's not going to come in and disrupt anything, understanding what's going on. I think, again, it goes back to, as well, one of the greatest coaches, not just in the women's game, but of all time, Cheryl Reeve, what she has done with the 4 titles, and always right there, at a shot at a 5th. And it feels like, once again, The pieces are there. And I think in terms of a tactician, in terms of a coach, in terms of a manager of people, none of us are counting her out in terms of finding a way to make this work and to have everyone maximizing their gifts come September in the playoffs.
Yeah, she is. I've been blown away. I've been covering this my 11th season, and each year it seems like it surprises me more and more as the time moves on. Just the job that Cheryl can do with the pieces on the team, because you said the exact same thing. The manager, the coach of people, that's the biggest thing for her. Is she finds, you can find ability or players that have the ability on the court, but she finds the people that matches that, and when that happens, it meshes, the locker room meshes really well. It meshes everything onto the court. A lot of the teams throughout, Cheryl's tenure in Minnesota, they talk about the relationship on and off the court between the players. And that's not something you get all the time. That's not something that's really that common with a lot of teams is, a team, that being, them being friends off the court. A lot of, teams, they're fine in the locker room. They get along great. They have great chemistry. They get out, outside of the facility and they're off doing their own thing, which the Lynx are, but they're not like that. And, and that's a credit to Cheryl with the type of people that she brings in. She talks about it all the time of, we look for great players, but more importantly, we look for great people. And that's just the culture she's established. That's the mentality she's had since she arrived in Minnesota and throughout her whole coaching career. But she is also able to make things work better than I think anybody else. I mean, the amount of in-season adjustments she's had to make since really the dynasty era ended has been remarkable. And each year, everybody counts Minnesota out, and Cheryl just finds a way for them to either be towards the top of the league like we're seeing this year, or at least being in that conversation. And it's she's one of the best ever, and she's doing it again this year.
Yeah, there's no question. And you're exactly right. I think of like Maya Moore, and I believe Simone Augustus, part of those teams. I think Syl Fowles was there once upon a time. And you mentioned Lindsay Whalen. There's so many different players there that have done that. And you're right. I think for the WNBA, it's even tougher because you're only part with that team for less than half the year, right? So many players, before would go overseas, still go overseas and go play elsewhere. So to have that kind of culture, even though you're only there for a short amount of time, really speaks to the volumes to what Coach Reeve has done there with the Lynx. I want to step outside Minnesota very quickly and get your thoughts before I let you go. In terms of, you talk about making things work, and what Golden State is doing in year 2 is unbelievable, following up in 1 year. And with Portland, Toronto, the 2 expansion teams as well coming in and being competitive. Look, Sandy Brondello is with Toronto, so no big surprise there. I mean, she, I think, is the only coach to win championships in 2 different teams. But what a great time right now for the W, someone who's followed this for a long time, and to see these expansion teams come in and immediately be competitive.
Yeah, it's, Golden State, I think, has taken off, better and faster than I think the league even imagined. Yeah. In their first year last year, they made the playoffs. Like that's not an easy thing to do as a first year team. Right. And they were aggressive this offseason. I think that's something that a lot of people expected, with them being the new team that they were, and just like the personnel that they drafted in that expansion draft. They were poised to try and make some moves this offseason, which of course 90% of the league was free agents going into this offseason or this season anyway. But and they did that. I mean, the Gabby Williams signing has been phenomenal for them. I think that next offseason they're going to be aggressive as well, and they're going to go maybe even bigger, big game hunting. One player that's been rumored, I don't think it's a likely thing to happen, but that Golden State's preparing to go after Napheesa Collier with the Lynx, and if that if a star like that ends up in Golden State, they could be atop the league for years to come. And but I mean, to your point, like they're red hot right now. They've won four straight as we're talking right now, and they're looking to be a for sure a top 5 team here in the WNBA this season. But going to the other 2 teams too, the 2 new teams this year, Toronto and Portland. I mean, Portland, I think a lot of people expected to kind of be a roller coaster. They're just kind of they're trying to figure things out yet. Toronto with Sandy Brondello, like you mentioned, I mean, whenever you have a coach of that caliber, that goes a long way. And I think that, Toronto has been, they've been kind of as expected, but maybe a little bit, better, especially, given what they've kind of gone through this year. But seeing a team in Toronto too is really awesome. I mean, it's great to see the support that they've gotten up there so far, and just how everything has gone there. It's great to see that expansion. But we're going to see this here in the next 3-4 years of more teams entering the WNBA, and these 3 teams that have entered the league here in the last few years have set a great example of how to do it, and everything is, I think, going as planned for the WNBA, maybe even better than they had hoped.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Next year, Houston returns to the fold. A great history there as the Sun make the move from Connecticut, and then Detroit, Cleveland, and Philly the successive years after that. Mitchell, great to talk with you, man, to get some insights on the Lynx. We're excited to see what they're doing right now, and excited to see what's to come once the great Napheesa Collier returns to their lineup. Man, welcome to the show. Hopefully you're not a stranger, and we can get a chance to talk to you again soon.
Oh, I had a blast. Thank you for having me, and I'm happy to do it anytime you guys need somebody.
Sounds good. We'll be calling. Appreciate you. Mitchell Hansen joining us once again. He's the founder of Hitting the Hardwood. Great stuff. Make sure to give him a follow on X and on social media. Lynx right now sitting atop the WNBA and still waiting to get Napheesa back. It's going to be fun times in the Twin Cities. Stay with us. Sports IQ with Larry Smith continues after this.
I get a lot of calls from people across the country who are suffering from the affliction of IRS tax debt, and that's because I have a remedy. Hi, I'm the tax doctor, and if you're having any of these tax issues, call me right now. My team specializes in helping people over the age of 50 solve their tax problems, and the bigger your tax problem is, the more money you can save. If you owe the IRS money, or you're about to owe the IRS money, or even if you need to file years of unfiled returns, call us right now. Our friendly, highly trained representatives are waiting right now to take your call. Over the years, we've helped thousands of people just like you stop the tax liens, wage garnishments, and harassing phone calls. You don't need to send the IRS a big fat check. We can negotiate a lower amount. That's what we guarantee for you. So call us right now. Call 833-789-3068.
Do you know someone with a drug or alcohol problem? Get help right now. Insurance may cover everything. Stop the drug and alcohol nightmare. Are drug and alcohol problems hitting you too close to home? Get help right now. Insurance may cover everything.
877-927-3380. 877-927-3380. That's 877-927-3380.
News out of Wimbledon. Coco Gauff does it again. The 7 seed taking on the 4 seed Jessica Pegula and beating her in 3 sets at Wimbledon, 4-6, 6-3, 6-3. So Gauff, boy, what a couple of weeks she has had. She moves on now to the semifinals. And boy, what a big moment for her as she tries to get that championship there at Wimbledon. A little NBA story for you right now. Some news. 3-time league MVP Nikola Jokić reaffirming his desire to extend his contract with the Denver Nuggets and finish his career with the only NBA team he's ever played for. But he says he plans to wait to sign the deal. Here's a quote from Jokić. My idea and desire is to stay in Denver. I'll probably sign next year. This is what he told reporters in Serbia following a FIBA World Cup qualifying game on Monday. My desire is to play the rest of my life in Denver, he reiterated. Now, Jokić is under contract for 2 seasons. The last year is a player option and has been eligible since June 14th to negotiate a 4-year, $278 million max extension. By waiting until the 2027 offseason, 1 more year, he would then be eligible to sign a 5-year deal worth $359.5 million as a free agent. That contract would be the largest in NBA history and would see his career on-court earnings reach $724 million, according to ESPN NBA front office insider Bobby Marks. Wow. So Jokić plans on being a Nugget because, let's face it, he is mining gold out there in Denver. Okay, so who is the hottest team right now in the W? Well, how about Golden State? Yes, second year Golden State, the Valkyries. Caitlin Chin scoring 14 points off the bench. Golden State shutting down Washington 62-49 on Monday for their fifth win in a row. Golden State now 15-7 on the season, setting a franchise record for fewest points allowed in a game. The Valkyries held the Mystics to 18 of 60 shooting. That's only 30%, including just 3 of 24 in the three-point range. Chin made 6 of her 9 shots in only 21 minutes to help Golden State's bench players score 39 of the team's 62 points. Veronica Burton was the Valkyries' highest scoring starter with 7 points. Brittany Griner scored a season-high 29 points, grabbed 10 rebounds. Kennedy Burke added 18 points to make that 16 points off the bench, including 2 3-pointers in the final 3 minutes as Connecticut beat Minnesota 90-89. Lily Lucan had 13 points. Olivia Nelson-Ododo added 10 and 8 rebounds for Connecticut, which won its second road game of the season. Kayla McBride had 28 points for Minnesota. Courtney Williams, 23, 9 rebounds as well, and 6 assists for Williams. Natasha Howard scored 18, but the Lynx are just a bit shorthanded on the night. Minnesota without Napheesa Collier, as we've talked about, with that left ankle, and Olivia Miles, the outstanding rookie, also with the right calf, both sitting out this contest. So again, we talked about the W and how well Minnesota is playing, coming back down to earth just a little bit on Monday night. Okay, great story here. To the NFL. Now, the Bears, as you know, continue to look for a site for their new stadium. Many saying that it's all but a done deal to go to Indiana, but Illinois is still saying, wait, hold my beer. We can make this happen. Trust us. Bartender, another round, please. Meanwhile, one Bears player sending a gift to the Pope that is making waves on social media. Pope Leo XIV was born Robert Francis Prevost. He's a Bears fan. He's from Chicago. And he got a Bears-related gift over the weekend from none other than Chicago quarterback Caleb Williams, who sent him an autographed jersey. Now, when you send a gift to the Pope, and certainly many of us have, right, there's really no way to know if he'll actually receive it. But in this case, we do know because he posed for a photo with the jersey. U.S. Ambassador to the Holy See, Brian Birch, presented Leo with the gift on July 4th. Now, the jersey is not the traditional jersey the Bears wear, and so some on the internet are speculating that Williams sending Pope Leo one of the new alternate jerseys the Bears will wear in 2026. No one knows for sure, but if you're going to let out a secret out of the bag, what better way than with the gift to the Pope to make it happen? By the way, they will be playing in Chicago this year. It's after 2030. We don't know where they'll be playing. So anyway, there you go. Bears and the Pope, his favorite team. All right, much more to come. Stay with us.
You're listening to Sports IQ with Larry Smith.
We continue our conversation with one of our favorite guests. Michah Warren is NFL writer at Heavy.com. We always get going, and we won't get too much history today because we don't have a lot of time. But Mike and I get going into Michah, you're not the ones who start talking about stuff like in the 1970s and 80s, and
it's so easy for us to get off track. We do it all. I can't help it. That's usually my fault. I'm usually the one that starts it, but you don't help. You just jump right in and keep going.
I know. Listen, I'm guilty too, as you are. So let's jump in and let's talk a little NFL as we're getting ready for camps here in a couple of weeks. Let's start with Philadelphia, the Eagles team. Will they be better without the distractions that seem to follow A.J. Brown, or do they not have the talent to make up for losing him?
It's a good question. I think when people talk about the distractions with A.J. Brown, they're thinking of like maybe his mouth or whatever. Here's my problem with what A.J. Brown was last year. And if you talk to Philly people like, oh, he dogged it in the 49ers playoff loss. And yeah, he dogged it all year. I mean, go back and watch him. There were so many plays that you were like, do you dive for it? I can't get to that. There was this overall, you could feel this, when you're watching like a fourth stringer fight just to be on the field, how they go out there and get after it. I mean, just None of it. It was like, I don't want to be here. That's the bigger problem. That's, to me, what you're getting rid of. And now they have Sean Mannion, the 33-year-old, I think it is, that comes over from Green Bay. He's got a new system, more under center. But there's so many questions. I'm not even looking at A.J. Brown. You got Mekhi Lemon now, the first-round draft pick. They brought in some other receivers. It's supposedly to more spread the ball around. Jalen's going to be under center. They said about 50% of the time. I also heard he doesn't like to be under center. So that's fantastic. And a lot of the guys that they brought in, especially with the tight end they have with Goddard, there's a lot of over the middle stuff. Jalen doesn't like to throw over the middle. Anyone that watched Philadelphia last year, you would have thought they were constantly in a 2-minute drill with no timeouts. 8 yards to the sideline out of bounds. Like, where is this going? The offense just didn't look good. So everything's going to be overhauled. I really don't look at it so much like as A.J. Brown, the distraction of what's it going to look like when they don't feel like they have to force the ball to a guy that seems disinterested at times. So it's going to be a whole new look. And you know what it comes back to all the time? That offensive line. When they were great a couple of years ago, the offensive line was the best in football. It was mediocre last year.
Did he miss Kelsey that much on that O-line?
No. Actually, Cam Jurgens has done a great job, but he and Dickerson on the left guard, I still don't think they ever got healthy from the Super Bowl run. I mean, those guys are battered. And you can look at their tush-push numbers last year. That was bread and butter for how long? I mean, they tried to get a rule to stop it. They were so dominant with it. Yeah. They were good with it last year, but it wasn't the every drive is 1st and 9 that it was the last couple of years, you know?
Yeah. That's fair. I was kind of kidding anyway. Let's stay in the division.
Sorry.
Everyone, no. Your answer was good. It was a good answer. Actually, it was a better answer than what I was expecting. So that's good. It worked out well, and we all learned something. Want to stay in the NFC East. The Cowboys, year in, year out. This was our year, but this could actually be their year with the new defense. Could they finally get back to a Super Bowl?
No, I want to start off with something real quick of a social media post I saw from a huge Cowboys fan. This is like a few weeks ago, and I thought about it. He said, would you rather go to prison for 15 years or go to prison until the Cowboys win a Super Bowl? You can do that with any team. I know the Cowboys like to get ragged on. It's fun. But I thought about it. I was like, I don't know. Because if you asked me that question about the Raiders in 2002, I'd be like, the Raiders win a Super Bowl. You'd be in solitary still right now. So I'm kind of with you guys that I kind of have off season had thought maybe Cowboys they're going to be much better this year. And the more I look into it, I don't know that. Dak threw for 4,500 yards, 30 touchdowns, 10 picks, something like that. Great year. CeeDee Lamb was CeeDee Lamb, fantastic. George Pickens, 93 balls, 1,409 touchdowns. I don't know why I know this stuff. Fantastic. Javonte Williams, who is this? Was it 1,200 yards and 11 touchdowns? They won 7 games.
Yeah.
So let's assume all of that happens again. So now let's look at that defense. They still can't rush the passer. The Caleb Downs is the one, boy. When you listen to NFL draft experts about who they liked in the whole draft, they almost all say this guy is a stud. Now, we don't know. We really don't know. But if he's your only player right now on defense, I mean, I will challenge your listeners to name a corner outside of Deron Bland. I can't. I could rattle them off and look them up. I could be making them up. Nobody would know. You wouldn't know. And Deron Bland hasn't been good for like 2 years, or he's okay. I don't see the difference makers on that defense. And you're still relying on them to have the bananas offense that they had last year, which if you look at their offensive rank, and I was just doing this this is what I do at my time, guys, okay? Looking at their offensive rank from like 2019 up until recently, it's almost like, remember Brett Saberhagen, the pitcher, where all of his years went from awesome, bad, awesome, bad. That's kind of what they are. They go from like top 4 to double digits, top 4, double digits. It goes back and forth. So I don't know exactly what we're getting from that. And their offensive line, let's go back to offensive line. Their tackles are poor.
Yeah.
I mean, so no, now I will say this. Oh, also I want to add their second place schedule that they've got looks worse than the Eagles' first place schedule. Just by the way the division broke down last year. Now, I will say this. Can they win the NFC East? Yes, I will say I would not be surprised if they win the NFC East. Like you just said, we don't know. The Eagles are going to be something new. They're still very talented. The Giants, we thought they had something going with Jackson Dart. And then he did his team building exercise with Trump, which was a great idea. And he wasn't that great toward the end of the season. So who knows with the Giants? They're hysterical. We don't know what the Commanders are going to be. They went from NFC Championship with Jaden Daniels rookie year to last year just being the Commanders again. So the division could be wide open. I'm not going the Super Bowl route yet.
Yeah, I think you've broken it down that, yeah, it's going to be another year of, hey, it's our year. And then you wind up, you've got 6 wins at Thanksgiving and trying to scramble, get in the playoffs. So maybe a little better than that this year, but I know what you mean. We've seen some teams here lately kind of go a little more, there's a resurgence in the ground game. We went a few years, we didn't, guys were even being picked in the first round. Will we see more of that, more of a ground game here in 2026 and maybe a little less emphasis on the pass? Or teams going to try to strike a better balance, do you think?
I think it might be the natural pendulum, right? I mean, so many teams went to those, they've gone to defenses that are lighter and quicker and faster because of the passing game. Well, now those defenses aren't as big and you're more likely to run on them. We've seen running backs actually getting paid. Hey, Jahmyr Gibbs, when Dan Campbell comes out with David Montgomery gone and is like, yeah, he's our bell cow now. Guess who's up for a contract extension? Don't think his agent ain't mentioning that. I mean, I think we are going to. It's the easiest thing to do, right? If you can do that well. I mean, the Eagles did it to a Super Bowl 2 years ago. Why would you throw if you don't have to? I'm going to run. I'm going to run, and you can't stop it. Is the best offense you could ever ask for, right? I do think so. And even the Jeremiah Love selection, which I think I talked about with Tony last time, 3rd overall. This isn't the old NFL. That was a really high draft pick for a running back. Sorry, he went to Arizona. By the way, you guys did see, though, that when he was drafted 3rd overall, he instantly became the highest paid running back in the NFL based on the slotting system and how poorly other running backs are. Yeah. So I think we'll start to see it. So also because we saw the Rams pay their guys last year, the Bills paid James Cook last year. Jameer's going to get paid. You are not paying a running back to not use them. It's not happening. Yeah. So you could probably follow the contracts with the running backs, I would say.
Yeah. Talking with Michah Warren, he's an NFL writer for Heavy.com. We've talked a lot on the show about having the franchise quarterbacks, and we saw some last year, and Sam Darnold was one of them. Teams having success who didn't have $50 million tied up in a quarterback, right? Who is the next Sam Darnold who kind of comes in at a quote unquote, air quotes here, bargain rate that could be that team to maybe go to a Super Bowl?
I don't know if we have a Darnold this year, but I do think we're going to see that structure, right? If I can build a great roster and win with a guy that's good enough, that's the answer. Good enough to win with? Yep. That's all you need because that's all you're trying to do. Now, if we look, the only guy I can think of is maybe Kyler Murray. With the Vikings, he's shown that he can do it and he can be exciting. But I mean, after October, it's like he's usually gone somehow. Yeah. He will get an opportunity in that offense, I think. Now, if you were trying to bait me into a Geno Smith comment, it's not going to happen, Larry. It's not not here. It's not happening, okay? That's kind of the only one that would fit. Or, you know what? And you guys may cut my mic and kick me off the show, but you know what? Don't discount with Cleveland. Could Deshaun Watson, they suddenly be able to play again? I mean, there's that. I mean, Tua in Atlanta, they have Penix, but Penix hasn't been a world beater. Is he going to get a chance to disappoint Falcons fans the way he did Dolphins fans? Maybe. We don't know. Other than that, I mean, I'm trying to think. I don't know that there's that many situations. There's some new quarterbacks around the NFL, but I don't know that any I would trust like Darnold, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, it happens. It almost happens every year. Somebody does something, right? I mean, I don't know, but I'm not off the top of my head. I don't see who's in that situation.
And it may be where there's an injury or something happens in camp that somebody's elevated, and then all of a sudden, I mean, last year we had Daniel Jones came on strong, and again, he was a guy making like $15 million. Sure. And you're like, what, 8-1 before he went down or something? So it was kind of a crazy thing. I want to get to real quickly. The Rams seem to be in a Super Bowl or bust mode. Did they get enough to get to a championship here this year before Matt Stafford retires?
Well, if Myles Garrett isn't it, then no. So I don't know, outside of going to get the best pass rusher in a generation. Now, so obviously the thing is the age, right? Devontae Adams seems to be a walking hamstring injury or just nag, but he still produces. Is that going to happen again? I mean, every year you're losing. The odds of you staying healthy just aren't as good. Stafford has been great. Is he going to stay healthy? What's going to happen with Puka? I haven't followed the latest on his legal issues.
Oh, yeah.
Talk about costing yourself a contract. I mean, whoops. That's poor timing. He was going to break the bank, and now if I'm the Rams, I got to worry about your judgment, right?
Yeah.
So they have their defense is going to be incredible. I mean, on paper they look great. Age is the only thing that would concern me, I would say. Otherwise, absolutely they can go get it.
Yeah, that's interesting. I want to get one final thought in for you. Not a great rookie class. Is there someone you think can step up and really make a statement? You mentioned Jeremiah Love, maybe in Tennessee, or I'm sorry, with Arizona. Who's a rookie you think could make a statement here as the season gets started?
You're right. Not a huge rookie class. Caleb Downs is probably one of maybe Arvell Reese with the Giants, although they now have 4 first-round picks at defensive end. I mean, whatever. You take good players. If he's that good, the Vikings didn't need Randy Moss in 1998, but we'll take him.
Right.
Carnell Tate for the Titans. That's a wide receiver needy team. Although they actually have a decent under the radar wide receiver squad. They got Wan'Dale Robinson. I mean, what's his name is still there. I'm trying to think of his name. The Calvin Ridley is still there, but so what? They actually have a decent wide receiver core, but they need somebody for Cam Ward to come to go to. If he's that guy, he could be good. Love, it's Arizona. Maybe I don't know. I guess. I don't know. Could Mekhi Lemon for Philadelphia? I don't think he's going to get a ton of balls just because the way that offense is. Concepcion, that was receiver for Cleveland. Anything's possible in Cleveland. It is wide open every year in Cleveland.
Yeah.
Anything could happen. I don't know who would stand out. I mean, Mendoza's probably going to sit for a bit or should, and the Raiders are just an LOL organization at this point.
Yeah. I'm with you. I don't see. I mean, I think at some point though, well, if Kirk Cousins is playing well, then maybe he's that low money guy that gets the eke into the playoffs at 9-8 or something. Who knows?
You could win 10 games if Kirk Cousins plays well.
Yeah. Who knows? It's possible. All right, Micah, we're gonna leave it there because if I don't stop here, we'll know.
I know.
Good to talk to you, my friend. Let's
always a pleasure, guys.
All right, buddy. Thanks so much, Michael Ward. He's the NFL writer for Heavy.com. Always appreciate his insights here on the show. More to come. Stay with us.
Are you paying too much for term life insurance? There's a tremendous price war among the major term life companies. Rates have dropped dramatically in the past 2 years. For example, a man age 45 non-tobacco user, $1 million of coverage is only $75 per month, level for the next 10 years. Or a man age 50 non-tobacco user can buy $500,000 of coverage for a monthly premium of only $110. Guaranteed not to change for the next 20 years. That's right, level rates for 20 years. And if you're a smoker, we have great rates for you as well. At the Term Lifeline, we specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. So if you're looking for new or replacement term life insurance, call right now for a free quote.
Rates and availability may vary by state. Sample rate quotes are based on preferred non-tobacco underwriting exam required to qualify.
Call 855-826-7932. 855-826-7932. That's 855-826-7932.
Back to a little World Cup talk now. Producer Tony is on. And Tony, look, here's the thing. USA coming in ranked 16th in the world. So to reach the round of 16 is about right. I think that the takeaway of this is it's been great for the fans. The fans still here. I mean, still the World Cup still to be finished here in the U.S., but it's kind of shows, I think, how far the U.S. has to go to catch up to the rest of the world in the sport of men's soccer.
Yeah, we're still not quite there. I mean, look, I've been hearing about the rise of soccer all of my life, since the early 70s. This started with, people that, well, more kids play soccer than play football, and more kids play soccer than play baseball. That's wonderful. It's a great exercise. It's a great activity. It's great for everybody, and it's wonderful. But we still, this is not our country's first love. It just isn't. It's baseball, it's basketball, it's our brand of football. Those are the first loves here. Is the USA improving? Absolutely. But you've seen exactly on the big stage when you play teams from Europe or from South America, that there's still a ways to go, because that is the main sport for them. They don't dabble in other things, mostly not on a nationwide basis anyway. They start kicking that ball around when they're 3 and 4, and they keep kicking it around. We move on to other things. It isn't the passion here that it is there. I don't know that it'll ever be, at least in my lifetime, but it's nice to at least see the Americans have a good run. Sad the way it ended, because the team really they were outplayed from start to finish.
Yeah. And let's be fair, Belgium is the first elite opponent that they face, right? I mean, Paraguay, Australia, Turkey, Bosnia, Herzegovina are not considered elite, but Belgium is one of the elite, teams in the world. But now the U.S., I mean, when they get to 2030, it'll have been a century. And in that century, only one quarterfinal appearance, and that was back in 2002. So a lot of question marks. There's no question for the World Cup, and now we move on from that. Want to get your thoughts? A couple of NBA dealings we saw. Kyle Lowry, one of our favorites, deciding to retire after 20 years. He's, I think, only one of 12 players to reach 20 seasons in the NBA, signing a one-year deal with Toronto, the former Villanova star. Who's been everywhere. And you look around and go, wow, you're still in the league. But yes, he is still in the league, 20 years. And then Donovan Mitchell signing the max extension, $273 million in Cleveland. So when you're talking about the whole LeBron thing and where could he go, whatever, Mitchell getting his max money. Again, LeBron will take the veteran minimum or whatever, the exception, I guess, $15 million. But the Cavs obviously love having Mitchell there as their alpha, and he's going to be there now for a few years longer.
Yeah, you're going to keep him and find it. It allows you to build off of what they need to build off of. They still got their big two. It's Evan Mobley and it's Donovan Mitchell. That's their big two. Harden can come in and be a piece. Does LeBron want to be part of that? We'll have to see. I don't think we're going to find out real quick what LeBron has planned. I think it's going to play out for a little while. And Larry, unfortunately, his former team, the Lakers, continue to just, I'm still scratching my head with some of their moves. I know they were freeing up cap space, but Rui Hachimura, was part of that team the last few years, has walked over to the other side of the arena. Now he's going to play for the Clippers. If what he signed for was doable for the Lakers, I'm kind of surprised they let him go, because Look, is Rui Hachimura going to make an All-NBA team? Is he going to go to the Hall of Fame? Probably not. But he's a serviceable player who can defend a little, he can rebound a little, and he can score a little. And you just let him walk over. And if you're looking at their lineup for the Lakers next year, and I'm not saying this is a bad thing, but it's awful pale in LA. And,
you said it, I didn't.
I mean, I'm not sure what they're thinking out there. And I don't know if these guys are all going to mesh together. I still think, we talked about this earlier, they are setting themselves up to lose Luka Doncic, because he is not going to be a party to want to do a full rebuild. If this does not work with Quentin Grimes and with the other guys that they've recently brought in, if it fails somehow, you are going to watch your alpha walk out the door. He's going to take his party hat and go somewhere else. And you are going to be left with Squadouche trying to rebuild around. I mean, you don't have any picks, so you can't go that route. So This better work. It better work for Pelinka. It better work for Redick. It better work if they want to keep Doncic. Otherwise, you're looking at a major rebuild, which means the bottom of the barrel for a few seasons.
Yeah, there's no question. And we'll see what they kind of come up with here the rest of this off season. Speaking of the off season, Summer League is ongoing in Salt Lake City and out in California. The Vegas Summer League begins on Thursday. I'm excited. I've always loved this, to see some of the young players trying to, the draft picks, getting their first taste. You'll see them in uniform, but also getting some other young players trying to make their way. We get a chance to see number 1 overall pick, the Wizards' AJ DeBonsa, play 9 o'clock Eastern time on ESPN against the Jazz, again out there at the Thomas and Mack Center. They play at 2 locations there, and you can see most of this action for these next week or so on ESPN and on Prime Video. Can't wait for that. Okay, we got to run. Thanks to our guests. Thanks to you as well. Appreciate you. Make it a great day. We'll talk to you tomorrow on Sports IQ.
Thanks for listening to Sports IQ with Larry Smith, Monday through Friday. Continue the conversation at Sports IQ LS. We'll see you next time.